Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Season 4, Episodes 13 and 14. So, 14 is the mid-season finale, I think, is what I've been told. Um, in which case it's like, okay, so we're kind of reaching this point, but we didn't have a break. And I think I briefly mentioned this before in another reaction, but that's a bit of an issue in my eyes. I mean, they already seem to be rushing through this season, and again, that's probably mostly on the network rather than the creators of the show and all. But now the fact that there's not even going to be any kind of break, it's just going to rush all the way through 2 episodes a week every week. It just seems like, again, like I kind of said before, it seems like Disney's trying to rush through this and just get it over with so they can focus on the shows they want to, the shows that they like, rather than the shows, that are popular and really well beloved and well received. But no, we can't actually give a lot of attention and focus to those shows. We can't give those a proper release schedule. No, we have to focus on shit. But moving past that, I'll just get angry and salty about that. Like, moving past that. So yeah, this season is definitely trying to finalize a lot here. Trying to wrap up a lot of things. We're still kind of building up to Globcore, and we're building up a lot with Meteora as well. I don't know what they're going with either of those, but Eclipse, from what we can tell, is genuine in being good, but just no one's taking it yet. Hopefully that comes soon. One thing we can say for sure is that if they do fuck that up, it's going to be terrible. Because if they try to make Eclipse a bad at this point, it's going to ruin everything. We have former Queen Moon and former King River kind of just starting their own community and stuff. And the big thing it's kind of building up for the main villain of this final season is Mina Loveberry. They're building her up as the final main villain, and they're kind of like building her as this character who's just extremely militant about protecting the way things used to be. And this is a show that admittedly is very progressive in a lot of ways. So having a character who is very conservative in her beliefs is honestly a good thing to have as a main villain. It makes sense. It works. So I really value how they're doing that. I'm wondering exactly where it's going to end off with, though. Now, they've also set up a couple, couples in this, and I mean, with that, we have Star and Tom, and then Marco and Kelly. Now, I don't know if the season's going to end with those, but I'm still on the train where I do not believe that Star and Marco should get together in the end. Again, as I've said before, if they end up getting legitimate romantic chemistry at some point during the rest of this season, then maybe. But they have to actually be given a legitimate amount of romantic chemistry to make it work. Otherwise, it'll just feel forced and fake like it did before. Now, I don't say otherwise that they have to end up with who they're with now. I don't think Marco has to end up with Kelly, although I would really like that. And I don't think Star has to end up with Tom, even though, again, I would really like that. But I don't want them to end up together, and not even just because of the lack of romantic chemistry. I just think that this show that's so progressive should shy away from such a outdated trope as sticking the main male and female characters together. If I were to pair them with anyone else at this point specifically, I would pair Star with Jana because I've always been a fan of the ship of Stana or Jar. I don't know. I've heard people call it Stana, so let's go with Stana. I've always been a fan of that ship, even though there's not really much of anything to, again, connect them romantically either. I think that, again, obviously, if they did do it, they would have to do it like they've done with Marco and Kelly and build up an actual romantic chemistry to them and all. Which they could do. And then Marco, I don't know. Like, the only other one I would probably pair Marco with at this point would be Jackie. But I really don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. The idea of maybe Marco and Tom, I'm not, like, against by any means. And there is a way where they could easily make that work if they gave some romantic chemistry there. But, again, it's like, with Marco, it's really just at this point either Kelly or Jackie. Those are the only two I really ship him with. And it's like, again, I don't think Jackie's going to happen at this point, which really sucks and is kind of stupid, but I really don't think it will. Kelly, I think, is the most likely option. And I really hope that's where they take it. I really hope that this just continues because they're not really in a relationship right now. They just had that breakup buddies thing going on, which isn't an actual relationship, so they could even just cancel that out, and I wouldn't care. I hope they actually start a real relationship and start acknowledging themselves as a couple, rather than breakup buddies. Again, that's not like a real thing, so. But yeah, either way, the only other option would be to just not focus on that with the ending. But the thing is, this series has focused pretty notably on romance as well, so it has been a part of the series. So I think also not giving it any real conclusion with that would also be a little unsatisfactory. But I guess we'll see. Otherwise, yeah, the big things are basically centering around Eclipsa and her trying to, well, continue to get people on her side. As well as the entire Monster Mumin debate, which I definitely hope is going to get resolved. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to get resolved completely to where everyone's just okay with it now, but I want to see some kind of resolution to where it doesn't feel like it was just left too open-ended, you know? Either way, I am excited to get to these 2 episodes, and yes, we're only doing last week's 2. We're not doing this week's 2 yet. I might do those later on this week if I get time. It's just, with what time it is now, I just don't think I'll be able to get to them, and at least I don't want to risk it, you know, with the time and when my father and brother will get home. Plus, I mean, there is other stuff I want to do today, other than just recording all evening long. So, yeah, I'll get to these 2 today, and hopefully sometime later in the week I'll get to the next 2. But again, getting behind on this and everything sucks, but that's what happens when you have a terrible schedule for air dates. Excuse me. When you have a terrible airing schedule because you're trying to rush through this series as fast as possible. Honestly, I'm fucking surprised they're not trying to do 4 episodes a week or some shit. And if they take that idea right now, I'm going to be pissed. But in all seriousness, I can't keep focusing on that because, again, it just makes me way too angry. It is really one of the worst things that has happened with this show. No joke. It's just such a bad idea. I mean, compare it to MLP. MLP has about the same number of episodes for this final season, and they're doing 1 episode a week. A single episode a week. And you know they're going to have a mid-season break as well. So there's going to be a few months in between after the mid-season. Because that's just how they've done it for the past few seasons. So it's just like, all of that together. And MLP is just, I know, different network. I know. But it's like, what the fuck is wrong with Disney to where they're trying to force this away so quickly? The final season especially should be being treated with more respect, you could say, and should be given a lot more time to it. Rushing through it like this just really hurts it, in my opinion. But again, I'm not gonna. I don't want to focus on that. I keep getting back to that. We're just gonna get this started. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. Well, episodes. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, I know it's gotten really dark in here, but it's like, honestly, whenever I turn that light on, it's like lots of light right on my face. So, just going to keep it like this for the rest of this reaction. Before I get to talking about these episodes in order, I do want to say I found out who Globcor's voice actor is. His name is Jamie Camille, or Camel. I have no idea how it's supposed to be pronounced. He is Mexican, and so it's like, yeah, okay. I was starting to think when I heard him talking more like that he might have been some kind of Hispanic, and yeah, he's Mexican. But also, he was Don Carnegie or Carnage or however it was pronounced, I forgot, in DuckTales, in the DuckTales reboot. So he was also the father in Coco. So I have actually heard him before, and I mean, those of you who have been watching the channel for a while and remember my DuckTales reactions, you've heard him before as well. But yeah, let's talk about these episodes. So the first one here was Dragon Cycles. So we had Marco, Kelly, Hekapoo, the Eagle guy, and I think he just referred to himself as the other guy as Quirky. Basically, they're in a Dragon Cycle Riders Club together. And one thing they apparently like to do is jump this dangerous chasm on their Dragon Cycles. This time, Tom has been invited by Marco and has gotten a new Dragon Cycle that he wants to just kind of fit in, because he's kind of realized that he hasn't really done much, and he just wants to, to do something, to fit in and to feel like a part of the gang. And it's amazing just how far Tom has come as a character. I've mentioned that before, but he is a really well-developed character. Like, I would put him almost on the level of Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm not even kidding. Like, in terms of how well he's been developed, how well he's progressed as a character, not even a question that he's on that level. I think Zuko probably still has better development and progression, but in terms of the amount of it and all, I think they're probably right around the same. It's insane how much Tom has grown as a character, and I love it. Tom is a great character. I absolutely love him as a character. So, but either way, Tom is having trouble controlling his new Dragon Cycle, and in the end, when they reach the chasm, Tom realizes that his Dragon Cycle just kind of wants to be free and go and ride with the wild ones. So he sets it free. And yeah, it's a fun little episode. It doesn't have like a lot of huge relevance. The only thing we really have big with it is that apparently Marco and Kelly have split up as breakup buddies. And I mean, again, I understand why. This does not invalidate the idea that they could still end up as a couple, by the way. They very well could. This rather says that they're just not breakup buddies anymore, which was, let's be honest, a placeholder thing in the first place. The instant that Star and Marco had forgotten about their entire breakup incidents and stuff, and had forgotten about just having those feelings for each other, the entire concept of the breakup buddies was invalid, because that was the point of it. so that Kelly could help Marco, well, and Marco would help Kelly in turn forget about their past romances. And it worked. Kelly has forgotten about Tad, and well, now Marco has moved on in his own, in a different way for a different reason. And Kelly does seem a little sour about it. She does. But I think that's more because she does love him. And again, this does not mean that they won't end up together. This does not mean that their relationship is over. It just means, it just solely means that they are not breakup buddies anymore. That this could be the stepping stone to them becoming an actual couple. So I'm still holding out. And if they don't, as long as, again, things still work out well in terms of the writing and everything, then okay. But I'm still holding out hope because, again, there was really no reason for them to be breakup buddies anymore. But the second episode here we had was much more important, the second part of episode 13. And that was The Monster and the Queen. And so this one, Star discovers that the piece of the Book of Spells she had is missing, and automatically assumes Eclipsa, which is honestly kind of just rude. But as she goes down to investigate, we see that Eclipsa is using a spell to kind of have this date with Globgor, and it is cute as fuck. Like, I'm not even kidding. Globgor is cute as fuck. Like, okay, I'm gonna kind of skip ahead, but in the second episode, episode 14, the coronation episode, Jana said, "I get why Eclipsa fell for him now," and it's like, I do too. He is extremely cute, extremely funny, nice, caring, and we get more into the fact that he did go, for lack of a better term, obviously, vegetarian for her, that he stopped eating humans completely for her and turned his entire life around. That is a big fucking deal. That is a big deal. They even discussed that in this episode by mentioning various things with that. But yeah, it's just like, that's awesome. And he's just such a likable character instantly. This is our first time seeing him, other than being, frozen in the crystal. This is our first time seeing him, and he's just instantly that likable. You just instantly fall in love with him. And yeah, that's awesome. That's a testament to how well this was planned out and how well it was set up. Like, there was proper setup to what we were going to expect with Globgor. There was. It didn't tell us everything, but like, I really did not expect that voice for him. I expected like a very deep, standard monster voice, but I actually like this better because it makes the message feel more natural, and definitely more, impactful. But yeah, he's just like really fucking cute. And so at the end, after like she comes out of Globgor's mind, after Eclipsa comes out and everything. And basically tells him, like, I'm not going to set you free until we're ready for it, basically. We see that Star confronts her, and she openly admits to it. She blatantly says, yes, I did. I stole the page. But she is very open about that, and that's a thing that we've seen with Eclipsa. She is very open about things. She really hasn't lied much at all. She really keeps it very honest and open, and I like that about her. And it kind of reminds me, like, just yesterday, I was reacting to a Young Justice. I was talking about how Ra's al Ghul, really never really feels the need to lie. He never really has anything he desires to hide or whatnot. And it's kind of like that with Eclipsa, I feel. Even though Eclipsa is obviously a good guy and Ra's al Ghul from DC is a very bad person, Eclipsa doesn't feel like she needs to hide anything. She's open and honest about it all. And we're just getting more and more proof that all of this against them, against her and Globgor, was all just basically propaganda. All this hate for them that was never really founded. Yes, Globgor used to be horrible, but he changed his ways. And the problem is no one ever gave him a chance. No one gave him a chance to prove it. they just automatically assume that once a monster, always a monster, basically. And they assume that Eclipsa was evil just because some of her spells are a little more invasive, and that she's not always the most, she doesn't think about others' feelings as much as she should, let's put it that way. And because she left her husband, her king, and because she fell in love with Glagor and all, a monster, they automatically just, they made all of these horrible assumptions. And yes, have there been really bad monsters? Yeah, of course. I mean, we have Toffee, for example. There have been bad monsters, but it's like, it's the guilty by association fallacy. People automatically assume all monsters are guilty because of the actions of some. And this is a fallacy that exists in real life. It exists with people from the Middle East, for example. A lot of Americans especially assume that all people of Middle Eastern descent, or especially those who are actually from the Middle East, are bad people, just because some of them are. People will like to say that, like, oh, Mexicans and illegal immigrants are just sending over their worst. They're sending over rapists and drug dealers and all. And it's like, no, most of these, the vast majority of these illegal immigrants are coming here to escape the horrors of their home countries. And fun story, most of them don't come to America illegally, they just stay illegally. They actually come like by plane and stuff most often. It's actually been proven that they don't like cross the border illegally, like in the backs of vans or some shit like that. No, they come over like as if they were coming for vacation and all, and they just stay. They don't go back. And it's just like, it's this guilty by association fallacy that people just assume everyone associated with this group is bad because some people have been. In that case, are all Christians bad because of the horrible acts of Christians in the past and even in the present? No. Are all LGBT people bad because of people like Milo Yiannopoulos, or however the fuck you pronounce his name? No. Not all people of any group are bad. The only exceptions to that are like specifically hate groups. Evil hate groups are the only exceptions to that, because they are literally groups built upon evil hate. But those are also few and far between. Like, yeah, of course, you have Nazis and neo-Nazis. Yeah, you have the KKK. Groups like that. Westboro Baptist Church is another example. Yeah, that's different because those are legitimate hate groups. They are evil groups of people who are dedicated to doing evil. That is their entire point. But like, other than that, and other than those minor examples, well, not mine, you know what I mean. Those few examples, very few. Most groups of people have good and have bad in them. There are very bad people in the American military, but there's also amazing people. There are very bad cops. There's amazing cops. There are very bad people who are professional chefs and very good people. And it's going, and just so on and so forth. Actors, artists, etc., etc. I've always hated the guilty by association fallacy. And to see them in this show basically prove it wrong and have all of an entire kingdom's worth of people basically move past it is amazing and wonderful. And we see that Glabkor is just a father. Just a nice, loving father and husband. And that brings us to the coronation episode. This double-length episode and the mid-season finale. So, Star has decided to have a coronation event for Eclipsa. Make the entire thing official. And so we see things are starting to get ready. Everyone's being invited. And everyone's set. people are there, even Moon is there. But Eclipsa heads off at the last minute because she wants to get a guitar string. Star goes to look for her and finds Globgor released. And that's when Eclipsa starts making an announcement telling everyone not to panic, that Globgor has escaped somehow. And she's right away denying it. And this goes into what I said before. She's very open and honest about everything. So why would she try to deny and hide that kind of thing now? There'd be no reason for her to do it. It would actually be kind of out of character for her, you could say. So, like, right when she started denying it, I was on her side. I believed her. And that got me wondering, who did it? So Star goes to search for Globgor and ends up finding him. He's just kind of running through the bog and everything and just basically running away. He's trying to escape. And we find out after Star starts talking to him that he's trying to escape to basically protect his family. But she talks to him with actually a little help from River and convinces him to go back. So she brings him back, and although there's a little bit of a tussle with the Magic High Commission because they're being dumbasses and assholes, just, again, automatically assuming about his character and whatnot, he shows his true colors when he works to protect his daughter, Meteora. And people start to see that and start to realize that he had actually done nothing wrong there, that he was the one being attacked. And then it's put together that Romulus is the one who released him, and that he did so for the sole purpose of trying to prove Globgor was evil. And that by extension, so was Eclipsa. He literally released Globgor to set up, under false pretenses, this event to turn all of Muni against Eclipsa. I hate people like that. I was never the biggest fan of Romulus, but I actively hate him right now. And don't get me wrong, he's a well-written character in this respect, but I hate him so much right now for that. I hate anyone who does that, and there are people who will do that. I've actually heard stories of cops setting criminals free just to prove that their kind of people, in a lot of cases people of color, are bad. And they'll set them free to try to set something up so that they can prove that. And it's absolutely horrible and evil. And yet, even though Romulus did this, it didn't work. And in the end, he got arrested and is being imprisoned for it. And I like what Hekapoo said. Hekapoo's like, we don't trust Eclipsa either, but you don't do that shit. You don't put all of these people in danger to try and prove a point. I can appreciate that. Even though Hekapoo and, what's his face? I can never think of his name. The other guy in the commission. Even though they're definitely still in the wrong as well, at least they had the right mind to be able to say that and let the coronation continue and move on, basically. They still don't fully trust Eclipsa, and okay, fine, fair enough. But at least they're giving a chance to it. And Hekapoo and the other guy, even though, again, they definitely went too far when Globgor came in and definitely took things way out of hand with everything after he escaped. They at least weren't as bad as Romulus. But they should still be honestly punished for their actions as well. Honestly, by the end of the season, I would like to see the Magical High Commission completely stripped of their power and disbanded. I'm being completely serious. I want to see the Magical High Commission disbanded. And let Hekapoo do her own thing, continue to be a Dragon Cycle rider and shit and whatnot. Omnitraxis Prime, that's his name, by the way. Let Omnitrax's Prime do his own thing, and just kind of move on. But take away their power and completely disband the commission. Honestly, with what's been going on, they should not have the power they have anymore. They should not be allowed to have that kind of control. And Romulus, honestly, should stay imprisoned. His actions put basically the entire kingdom in danger. He actively tried to put the kingdom in danger to prove a point. He needs to be imprisoned. He is messed up. But yeah, so by the end, though, the entire kingdom has turned sides. They have realized that they were wrong. That both Eclipsa and Globgor are not evil. And again, maybe Globgor used to be, but he's moved past that and he's changed. And the Kingdom of Immunity has accepted them. And I think what made it really work for them, and I think the reason they really did accept them in the end, was the fact that Eclipsa put it up to them. That Eclipsa didn't try to force it, that she didn't try to demand it happen, and she didn't just even go forward with it. That in the end, she told them, I'm putting it in your hands. Do whatever you will. Choose whatever you'll choose. And of course, the fact that Globgor was willing to sacrifice himself, return to Crystal, just for his family, of course that helped. Self-sacrifice is the greatest show of love anyone can ever make. And is one of the greatest shows of love that I have ever, like, in fact, I say the greatest show of love that I've ever seen in anything. Any piece of media, real life, doesn't matter. And so it's like, yeah, I really love that they did that with Globgor here. It really shows his character. And that, and again, mixed with Eclipsa giving them the option, as well as Moon telling them, no, make your own decisions. Don't just look to me. I'm not your queen anymore. They came to realize that they were wrong. And they accepted Eclipsa and Globgor. And now with the coronation having gone through, they're the king and queen of Muni. Everything is going well. But that's where the end comes in. We see Mina's crow. Mina is still going to be the problem. She is going to continue her very, very violent tirade against this. And in the end, she's going to be the final villain of this season. I bet you anything. And I like that, actually. I think that she'll make a good final villain. I said that before, that she's actually perfect to do for this. And it's good because it's also kind of unexpected. You would think like, oh, maybe it will be Eclipsa after all, or maybe it'll be Globgor, or maybe somehow Toffee will come back. We did see him again in the past. I mean, I guess it's possible. But no, it's Mina, not who you would have expected. But it works so well. So yeah, these episodes were great, and a great way to end off this season. Or, well, end off this first half of the season, I should say. Because I made that mistake because, you know, mid-season finale and all. And yeah, as for future episodes, the next episodes, which are already out, 15 and 16, I'm going to try to get to those later this week. I can't guarantee anything, of course, because I have no idea if I'm going to have the time or whatnot, but we'll just kind of hope. We're going to kind of hope I can get to them. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to be behind a little bit. But hopefully I should be able to get to them at some point this week. Maybe on Thursday. We'll see. In the meantime, though, tell me what you thought of these episodes of Star vs. the Force of Evil Season 4. Do you like what they did with Globgor and Eclipsa here? And what do you think of the development they've given to Tom over all of these episodes, over all of these seasons. Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,